is time again. It is time again to take us back to where we need to be to bring you up to speed so that you can get an idea of how all of this is working together in unison in some kind of an attack format. There is so much that is going on where I don't feel I don't think anybody's really getting to the point of explaining what's going on, how are we winning, how are we losing, what is happening, what do you need to know, not what do you need to know to make you feel great about President Trump. Let me explain this to you. He is a great man. I like him, warts and all. I make this so, how do I say this? I make this clear. I make this something that, so that you understand where I am. I'm not a kind of a Fox News, cheerleader. Let me say something about Fox News. This is important. And people prove my point constantly when they misunderstand what I'm saying and also feel, to a certain extent, somewhat offended. For reasons I will never understand, and maybe you do. Maybe you're able to figure this out. But for reasons I do not understand, there are people who look at this network as this at this news station as almost a religion, where these are your friends or these are people you like or people you know. I don't know. I've never seen anything even remotely like it. Okay, it's a station, it's a network, but enough is enough is enough. This is fine. Whatever. Just calm down. And I'm having a hard time explaining this. Let me give you an example of something. Years ago, I had a friend of mine from Ireland, came from Ireland, Galway. And he was not an Irish American, an Irish person. Not a narrowback, but a real McCoy. And he wanted to be a part of the American society. And he said, one of the best things I can do, which he thought made sense, and it did make sense, was let me go and let me enjoy baseball. He lived in Sunnyside, Queens, and he wanted to be a part of the Mets. He thought, what can I do about enjoying, the Mets? The Mets is what he loved. And anyway, he thought this would be a good idea. So he didn't know anything about baseball. So a friend of his said, look, here's what you do. They got him like a jersey. They got him a hat. They got him the usual, whatever it was. Paint your face orange and blue or whatever the hell it was. And he said, and I'm going to kind of go like this to you, and you can jump in, and when there's a base run or an RBI or whatever, you can jump up and scream and yell, and I'll tell you how to do that. And he did. And then he became friends. He went to Mets Field or whatever, Mets Stadium, and he met some folks, and he sat kind of in the same area. Next thing you know, he felt like an American. He really did. He loved the country. He's a great American. He really is. And but he loved the sport, and he realized that if he went and he used baseball as an entree, he could become a part of what things are. And that's what Fox News is. It teaches people who really may not be up to speed with what's going on. You can be a part of a pep club. You can be a part. You don't have to know a lot. When he knows a lot about baseball now, but my friend said he didn't know anything about baseball, but he loved being a part of the movement, even though he didn't know what the movement was. He didn't know how it worked. That's what Fox is. That's what Fox is. That's what it is. It's this idea that somehow we are MAGA, whatever that is. We love to speak in these terms. We are MAGA. We are pro-Trump, and we applaud him. And I say to you, that's not the best thing you can do. That's sort of maybe close, but that is not it. What I want to do, what I want to tell you, this morning on WABC, I do overnights, as you know, on WABC. I did this thing where I said, somebody said, where you always talk bad about ABC. I love your coverage of the important news. Thank you. I appreciate that, Pilgrim. He said, you don't like Fox News. Where do I go for the news? And I tried my best and realized I'm wasting my time, but I'm going to tell you what I'm trying to do. You have to triangulate, meaning I have to put as much metadata in. You know what metadata is, right? Metadata. Metadata works like this. Metadata is a composite of every, how do I say this? Anybody have Quicken? Quicken, I'd use QuickBooks, but I like Quicken. Quicken is the greatest program I've ever had. I've used it for, I don't know, 30 years, it seems like, and I have every single thing I do, every debit card, every note, every dollar, everything I throw in metadata. I throw it in. Everything. Taxis, travel, cable TV, but whatever, I just throw it in. It's the metadata. I talk to my accountant. I'm saying I look at what needs to be done, and I'm saying we need to know. For example, let's look at this. Let's look at using this as a deduction, that as a deduction, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. I'm able to go into it and pull out the data that I need or put it back in. I say, I want to know how much have I spent on cable news, on, let's say, cable TV in the odd number years, whatever it is. I don't know why I would want that. But I can go in and I can pull that out. Why? Because I have the metadata. I have all the news. How does my, not that these are deductible per se, but let's say, how are my dry cleaning bills in the past 6 months compared to the last quarter, last year, over the 5 years? Give me a report of the past 5 years, second quarter dry cleaning bills, whatever. It can do that by going into this thing called metadata and pulling that data out. Metadata is what you throw in. The data is what you pull out. You want to increase your metadata. You want to throw everything in. You want to know, if you want to know about Israel, you want to know Jerusalem Post, Haaretz, you want to know I-24, you want to see what Middle East News, Al Arabiya, Al Jazeera, you want to read the pros, the cons. You want to see everything. And from that, you're able to pull out and cull the information in the data accordingly. That's what you do. But you don't do it standing with my friend at, Citi Field, and whenever the Mets are, stand up, hey, it's a home run, yay. No, we really understand it. And this is what we have to understand and grasp. I was on yesterday with Redacted, with the great Natalie Morris, and I said, I want to explain to you what you're seeing and what you're not seeing regarding Epstein. Epstein has become a religion. Epstein has become something that, I don't know how to put this. People are not listening as to what Epstein is really all about. It's not what you think. And no matter how many times I tell people, because I know all of the metadata, I know all of it. I've been paying attention to this forever, and I know a lot about the subject matter. There is nothing about the flight logs that will tell you anything. Listen to what I'm saying. There is nothing, repeat after me, there is nothing about flight logs that will tell you anything. Nothing. It doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't do anything. It does not provide you with anything. I don't know how to say it any other way than that. Because there were other people on the flight logs. The flight log doesn't tell you anything. But people have it in their mind that that's what they want, and they are saying it. I call it the methylene blue phenomenon. There are people who are absolutely adherents to methylene blue, and they can't even tell you what methylene blue is. They have no earthly idea what methylene blue is. You don't know what it is. What am I doing? Methylene blue. What is this? I don't know, but I want to take it. Damn it, I want to take it. You can't get into news by fads. You have to ask yourself, what am I looking for? And the information I'm looking for may not be that, it might not be that interesting. It might not be everything that you think it is. That's just the way that is. Sometimes it is just like that. Sometimes it's one of those things that's just... So what's going to happen, and I hope you see this, what I hope you understand and what I hope you grasp is that the latest thing is that which I put and displayed and portrayed and listed on my my X format or whatever it's called. It's the X. I still can't get it. I still can't call it X. I still can't call it X. I still can't do it. It doesn't sound right. I think it's the worst name. It's Twitter. It's whatever it was. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to try to tell you anyway. And this is what's important. Let me see. I've got this right here. I want you to hear it in my own particular words. My own words. Hang on a minute. There we go. Okay. Let me see. Does that work? That's not it. Let me go back to what I was doing. Pardon me. You kind, wonderful people. Okay. Here we go. What I'm hearing, Ghislaine Maxwell may be offered a commutation, not a pardon, by the Justice Department, under the condition that she leaves the country permanently and agrees to never to speak publicly about the Epstein case. This potential deal reportedly comes as pressure intensifies on Capitol Hill for full Epstein transparency, with lawmakers demanding answers about the cover-up, sealed records, and alleged elite connections. The move suggests a backdoor resolution that protects key figures while silencing Maxwell indefinitely. Critics argue this would be a blatant attempt to bury the truth while appearing to offer justice. Stay tuned, as it were. That is precisely what people are saying. That is precisely what is being said. That is precisely what is. Okay, fine. Now, this is still one of the most important issues there is, and one of the most important stories. But how you ask the questions is so monumentally important. It is critical. You have to ask the question, what is it specifically that you're trying to say? Yesterday, I think I told you I was on with Natalie and with Clayton Morris on the show, Redacted. And I said, please do me a favor. This may not mean like much to you. It may not be that big of a deal, but it is to me. Stop saying treason. Stop saying treason. Our good friend says, Ryan says, in the age of gone in 60 seconds news stories and goldfish attention span, I'm impressed at how much staying power this Epstein story has had. But no way Dems are keeping this going, can keep this going, can they? They're not saying anything about it. And by the way, thank you for that. They're not saying anything about it. They're not saying anything about it because this is embarrassing to them. Because it is probably more ultimately embarrassing to them than anything else. But let me go back to what I'm saying. When people start to say treason on a regular basis, they do it because they feel this is kind of what you expect me to say, and this is sort of what you'd like me to say, and this is somehow, this goes along with the kind of the storyline of what we're seeing here. It is not treason. We don't charge treason anymore. The last time, I think it was it's very rarely, I forget the name of, if the name didn't come to mind. The Rosenbergs, they never charged with treason. It was espionage. It's the wrong term. We're not giving aid and comfort to an enemy. We're not at a time of war. We're not levying war. We're not doing any of this stuff. We're not doing this. Stop saying treason. Now, when the president says treason, when Fox News says treason, everybody says treason, people are just, they're like my friend at City Field, going like this, stand up. And they stand up and they wave. I want you to listen to what I'm saying, and I want you to stop reacting to Epstein because you're thinking it's something that it's not. You're thinking, you're believing that this is somehow some kind of opening to human trafficking rings. That's not the way it is. You're not going to see that. You're going to see a relatively small, you might see a lot of women, but you're going to see a small group of potential targeted defendants and the like. And you're also going to be seeing something which is really more important, and that is the idea that, and this is really even more critical, the idea that these people, these folks, were not in the human trafficking world. They were doing it for purposes, it seems, we believe it seems, to pull people in to small groups that can indeed use or leverage sexual activities with children or young people. That's it. We don't know. You, and I say you, I don't mean you, but I mean the royal you, conservatives, have this as some kind of a fountainhead, some linchpin, some ignition switch that if somehow I gave you a flight log, everything will open. The deep state will open. The cabals, the internecine chambers and warrens and all of these what do I say? All of these rabbit holes and dark interstitial, that all of this will open, and it's not going to open. You're not going to find anything. It's not what you think. It's an interesting story. It's a great mystery. It's a great true crimer because it was absolutely, positively, 100% homicide by virtue of the medical examination, the medical testimony. Will the Justice Department appoint a special prosecutor? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I really don't think so because they want to do it themselves. Have you noticed how Pam Bondi is like not even, she's kind of like there, but not there. She's saying nothing. She has, I think they've taken my advice and reeled her in. Don't go on Fox News anymore. Now, someone says, Kara says, I'm so tired of Epstein. I think you're tired of the coverage, Kara, not the subject. The subject is fascinating. The coverage is boring. The coverage is just, it's horrible. It's, I don't know how to put it into words. It's absolutely the most horrific thing anybody's ever seen. It's horrible, terrible. The coverage, the subject matter is fascinating. The subject matter. And when I tell people it all the time, and I'm still saying, stop talking about the logs. They're talking about the logs. There's no list. I say to the point of there are victims here. You can't repeat the list. Grand jury testimony means nothing. What do you want with a grand jury testimony? I don't understand. I don't. That's not what you want. That's not what you're looking for. That's not the essence of this. So that's that. That's that. The other issue is we're going to have to ask, is Trump, is MAGA able to topple the deep state once and for all? Do you think we are any bit closer to this thing, this quote, toppling of the deep state? Do you think so? Do you feel we are? Do you feel anything in the least? Do you think anything in the least? Do you feel anything at all regarding anything that's happened? Do you? Is there any part of what we've talked about where you have said, wow, I mean, we're making a tremendous inroads? Do you feel like that? I don't feel like that for a moment. I still don't think the president is truly, honestly able to grasp or understand exactly what is being done and the people who represent his enemy. Now, I did a great interview with a fellow named Bob Kudla. Bob Kudla is a great he's from Trade Genius, but also it's one of our sponsors. I've known him for years. And he's talking about the stuff that what Trump is doing is really great, believe it or not, regarding, and I say this, regarding tariffs and world, it's really something. I mean, he's really doing a great job, but you would never know it because nobody's talking about it. And nobody's really reporting it. And when you do hear it, you think sometimes, well, maybe they're just they're cheerleading and the like. Now, the question which I find so interesting beyond interesting, and I'm trying my best to get people to grasp this idea, is what is happening regarding Israel and the, quote, Middle East. The Middle East. We call it the Middle East. And that means Israel. That means Israel. That's what we're talking about. The Middle East. Not Israel. That's what we call it. And if you are not seeing what's happening here, if you're not following this, you are missing one of the most incredible stories I have ever even seen. How the world, have you heard what is happening to Christian churches, Catholic churches, how the Pope is furious, how this current Pope is furious with what's going on? Do you have any idea of how this is working? This is something I can't even put into words. I can't. And I suggest to you, dear friends, if you try to find this, if you try your best to find it, if you try your best to to go into the, to go behind the scenes. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. I can't believe the amount of, I don't know, subjects, people who aren't following any of it. So, I don't know what to tell you with that. The best person, I am still telling him, I think I told you the story, but there's a fellow I heard who was on WABC who says, where do I go? Where do I find this? Every day, one of the best places to start to kind of get a feel for this is Alex Jones. Probably more important, not as my final word. No, there's no such thing as a final word. But in terms of my listening for purposes of, how do I say this? My listening to the angles he's pushing, if that makes any sense. I love to start off with him. Love every day, early. And I find that, listen, I said, that's good. That kind of gives me a good sort of, gives me a good kind of place. And what we are seeing is there's domestic, there is international, of course, there's a variety of all kinds of things. And what I'm finding more interesting than anything else is that the president, I don't know if he understands what's going on. I think maybe he does. And I'm trying to not put my own lack of trust with his immediate folks, because I really don't feel comfortable. They're going after, believe it or not, they're going after, of all people, Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is, to me, if you can't see this baby, I don't know what to tell you. I, honest to God, don't know what to tell you. How people are, they say that there's, and I don't know how much of this is true, but I wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't sound too far-fetched. But Trump, as you know, loves to hear and loves for there to be cool people, pretty people, handsome people, powerful people, people in shape. He's a president who is more interested in how people look than anything you can imagine. Anything. It's who he is. I don't know if Biden's handlers did this. I don't know. But I have seen repeatedly this president focus on people that I think are kind of like one time he was talking about Jim Jordan. Never forget. Jim Jordan. And Jim Jordan was this is interesting. Did you hear about the Jim Jordan Ohio State wrestling team controversy and scandal? Did you ever hear about that one? Why has that slipped through? But anyway, Trump was talking about, hey, there's a guy, he was a wrestler. He was a wrestler. And boy, he was really something. He was a wrestler. And again, Trump is like a little boy. Trump who goes to UFC. And understand something. This is important. You can say whatever you want, but UFC is it's different than boxing. This is a level of barbaric fighting, which goes to, I think, more of the primitive parts of, who we are in the line. But Jim Jordan is the Ohio State and the wrestling scandal refers to a long-running controversy involving allegations of sexual abuse by a Dr. Richard Strauss, a former team physician at Ohio State University, kind of like that Larry, whatever that coach is. And whether Jim Jordan, who was an assistant wrestling coach at the time, knew about the abuse and failed to act. Isn't that interesting? This Richard Strauss was a team physician at OSU from 78 to 98, 20 years. And he was accused of sexually abusing 177 plus more male student athletes during medical exams, showers, and locker room interactions. He died by suicide in 2005. He was in showers. He's the team physician. Jim Jordan, who was the assistant wrestling coach from 87 to 95. Later, he became a Republican congressman and founding member of the House Freedom Caucus. Now, multiple wrestlers have said that Jordan was aware of Dr. Strauss's inappropriate behavior and did nothing to stop it. At least 6 former wrestlers have publicly said that Jordan must have known, with some claiming they personally told him of the abuse and that it was an open secret. And Jordan denied all allegations, insisting he never heard of any abuse during his time as coach. A 2019 independent investigation by Perkins Coie, not from, commissioned by Ohio State, concluded that Strauss abused at least 177 male students and that university officials knew nothing for years. The report did not specifically name Jordan, but several wrestlers reiterated that their claims during the investigation. So, the settlements are over $60 million. Don't you think that's kind of interesting? Don't you think that's interesting? I do. Is this why Jim Jordan's been kind of quiet lately? Remember, Jim Jordan was everywhere. Everywhere you turned around, there was Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan was there all over the place. Jim Jordan was this, Jim Jordan was that. Now, is anybody talking about that on Fox? No. And the reason why I bring it up is because Fox covers, it hides information it doesn't want you to know. It doesn't want you to know. Pilgrim aggregates his news sources on Grok 4, which is okay. Hi, Lionel. Why and how JP had a island was why and how JP had an island who was boss. This may sound stupid, but who is JP? I may be so dense. Am I missing something? Maybe I'm just tired. JP? Just, is that it? Is that it? JP? Oh, JP. Oh, J Epstein, John Paul. Okay. Kara Lake says something. Kara says, yes, Epstein oversaturated the media until people got bored, even if it was awful, like Diddy. We need some new names, stories like past world leaders back from the dead or something. Kara, the news is here for you. It's in the metadata. What you are saying, my dear, with all due respect, is of the various platforms that are providing the news, you're tired of that. You're tired of that which is on cable or on your various. Are you digging into this? No. News is not news is not even, how do I say this? News is not even the subject or the first source of information for me. It's the subject matter that makes me go and look for it. I don't wait to see what somebody is saying. If you watch CNN or Fox, you'll get bored of it because they don't tell you anything. So what I'm saying to you, and I think Pilgrim said it, whether it's Chat, Grok, others, go and look. Be independent. Be your own investigative unit. There's so much that is there. Read the indictment. Read legal analyses. Read what lawyers have said. Go to other aspects. There's so much good stuff on YouTube. So much good stuff. So much analysis. That's great. Not the usual suspects. Not that Candace Owens or Megyn Kelly, and that's listen, God bless them, but that's People magazine stuff. It's there. It is there. I'll bet you still haven't used ChatGPT. What are the various legal analyses? What do the lawyers say? What's the latest? What are the implications? How many victims were charged? Who were the names of the victims? What was the settlement? Find it yourself. You're sitting back, with all due respect, and you're saying passively, okay, tell me something about this. Tell me what I should know about this case. Tell me what I should know. That's not the way to do it. It's not what I do. You can take, for example, 4 links from 4 different news sources. Alex, Lou Rockwell, Global Research, American Thinker, RT, Al Jazeera, TMZ, New York Post. I don't care. You pick whatever you want. Put the links, throw them into ChatGPT, and say, give me a 2,000-word summary. Then have on your phone, put it on oral or auditory or spoken word or whatever, where you can hear the actual spoken version of this. You can have your own news show. Do it. Do it. I do it all the time. I'm always going back and I'm looking at other stories. I was fascinated by recently, still have always been about Aaron Burr. And I'll go back and I'll listen to old Gore Vidal. It's there. I'm not going to wait for somebody to give me the news that they think is important. I collate. I construct the news. I do it. It's my news. I find this out. So do what you do. I mean, sometimes I'll go and I'll listen in the morning if I'm taking a shower, if I'm doing something. I'll put on a great piece that Alex may have. I don't know. I love RT. Love RT. Love if you want to know what's going on in Europe and Ukraine, listen to them. Or maybe you want to go someplace else. If you want to hear what's going on, but just go to the actual story and hit audio file. Hit it so you can hear it. You can pick the accent. You like a British accent? You want an American accent? That's your news. If you just want to listen. Have you seen Global Research? Have you been to, I was watching that, Lou Rockwell, I love. There were other people as well who do some kind of interesting things. Have you seen Information Liberation? Have you seen, sometimes I go to some things like Jonathan Turley, I'll get some piece. I like a lot. I like sometimes National Review, though they're very, I'm losing more interest in them. They're more paleo conservatives. They never say anything. They are so monumentally in favor of Israel. It's to the point of being, and there's nothing wrong with Israel. I want you to understand something flat out. I have nothing against Israel, but I don't want to hear Israeli propaganda. Just like I don't want to hear American propaganda. I don't want to hear any propaganda. I don't want to hear it. Did you see the story about A.G. Bondi fires back after the New Jersey federal judges refused to extend Alina Habba's interim? That's good. I find that interesting, don't you? I find it absolutely interesting. I find it fascinating. But here's the story. I got to spend all my day saying here. And I want to see all of these groups, so to speak. I want to see the information collated. Sometimes I like Andy McCarthy has some great stuff when it comes to, yesterday was on with great show, Redacted. I really like them. With my friends Clayton and Natalie. And I said, not for nothing. But I told you about Diddy. I told you. And nobody listens to me. They say, oh, come on. See, no, you don't understand. There's no evidence of this. There's no, you're not getting any. Remember not Natalie Howell, Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony. I was on Pix 11 News at the time. And when the Casey Anthony case came out, it was horrible. Little girl, Kaylee, I think Kaylee Anthony was the girl. And I came out and I said, she will be found, the mother will be found not guilty. People assumed I was saying, I don't think she did anything wrong, or I like her, or God knows what. I have no idea. And I said, no. That's not it. I'm not saying I like her. I'm not saying anything of the sort. I'm saying the evidence will show that there was no evidence of any kind of homicide because all they found was a skull. And there was no evidence of, how do I say this? There was no evidence of any kind of homicide because there was a skull. There was no bullet hole or any type of structure. Let me see, underwater. There were these wonderful things called, I can't remember that. Remember these underwater flagellates? What were these things called? These, chitons. There was this thing called, let me give you an example. Reason why I'm sorry I'm taking such a long time. When Kaylee Anthony was found, it was believed that she might have been drowned. She might have been drowned. And because it was just a skull that was found, there was some evidence, I believe, of some type of, there was a cadaver dog or something indicated putrescence or decomposition or something along those lines. And that's not good enough to prove anything. In any event, if they had looked at the, diatoms. Is it diatoms? There are, yes, there we go. If they would have looked at the skull of Kaylee Anthony and observed the skull, and it might have been submerged in water, brackish, kind of a pondy, very teeming with organic life and the like, they might have found diatoms. Diatoms are these little kind of underwater algae, little microalgae found in oceans, and these diatoms are there, and they remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And anyway, you might have been able to find them in the skull, in the actual bone structure, in the bones of these things being found. Thank you, Fred, for sending 10 gift memberships. Thank you so very much. Thank you. You're very kind. So as I was doing this, trying to explain, I said that the forensic folks kind of made a mistake. Maybe they could have done something because they're looking for some evidence. People thought I was saying that I was happy or I was in favor of her walking or something ridiculous. The same thing I said about George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin. Remember this one? I said, but he's going to walk because of Florida's stand your ground law. Nobody listened to me. So when I'm telling you something, I'm not telling you this from the position of being a pro-Trump person or Trump favor. I'm telling you from the viewpoint of being somebody who recognizes reality. And that's what I'm trying to do. When I tell you something, I tell you what the president what he needs to do to get things done. And I've said this before, he's not vicious enough. He doesn't have it in him. He is not a vicious, brutal human being. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's good. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. Maybe that's good. I can't. So this is why these shows don't do anything. If you're watching TV, of course you're getting bored of Epstein, because you're watching TV. You're letting some news director determine the format, determine the range, determine the subject matter, and you're finding that boring. What I'm begging you, do your research. OpenAI, ChatGPT, Grok, name them. This is the greatest research tool that has ever happened to us in real life, and nobody's taking advantage of it. Nobody is taking advantage of it. That's all I want to tell you. Now, my friends, dear friends, Fred Haddad, thank you. Our good friend Carla, by the way, Carla, you said had an island. Who was boss? I'm not sure. I'm still not sure what that means, but I thank you. Pilgrim, Ryan, I thank you. The reason, what's interesting to find out is what was behind the scene. What was he doing in terms of money laundering and the like? It's not the sex activity. And I will say again, do we know of anybody who actually was the victim of, this is important, do we know anybody who was the victim of, or anybody who claimed to be the subject or the victim of extortion? We own the narrative. That's right, Big Dick. We own the narrative indeed. And you can find the narrative and you can find the subject. And listen, use on your phone or whatever, use the ability to make all websites audio friendly, or so you can listen to them. You can hear the audio of the story. If you don't want to read them, have it on in the background. Have it when you drive. Take command of the news. Be insatiable, but turn off Fox News. I don't know how to tell. You're not going to learn anything from Fox News. You're going to learn what the propaganda tools are. You're going to find out what they want you to know. I happen to, in the radio studio, I looked up and there's Tyrus and Kennedy. Who wants to hear? I mean, it's a free country. If you know, they're funny, I guess. But I'm an adult. This isn't Mort Saul. This isn't Dick Gregory. This isn't Richard Pryor. This isn't Bill Hicks. This is Kennedy. And with all due respect, and I love these people, but Jim Norton, I'm sure he's a comedian. He's a good friend of my friend Anthony Cumia, and that means something. But politically, he's nescient. That's not his thing. If you want to laugh, it's okay. It's just like sometimes, the Joe Rogan offshoots, the Bert Kreischer. This is cretinous. It's okay for you. It's a free country. I'm not there. So I'm not going to say I'm bored of the coverage. It's not their fault. They're giving me what they think is interesting. They don't have to appease me. I create my own coverage. I create my own album, my own hits, my own version, my own mix, so to speak. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much for your kindness. Don't forget to subscribe to Lynn's Warriors, Lionel Legal, and make sure you subscribe here to Lionel Nation. All right? And sometimes, remember, every morning I'm doing like early, like 12 midnight, 12:15 every day when I show up at the studio and I'm getting ready. You're the first person I talk to. So make sure you're subscribed. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. And until we meet again, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.